you get this. What I did at the time of meditation is, of the two things you have, it's this one.
I thought that was the lid and it wasn't. It's on the floor somewhere.
What we lose?
Don't
The
see
lid
it.
of the water. What color is your lid? Is it clear?
Mine's blue. That'll be blue.
Well,
It
Here.
ought to be some, we don't need it. She just was,
if I knock the water over, we're gonna all be wet.
I see. Don't knock
you.
the water over.
Famous
That's
last
easy
words.
enough. That's easy
Famous
enough.
last words, right.
If you get this, pick up this one that has starts with the numbers.
Yeah.
This is 2 pages and it has 2 different suggestions for meditation. And the first one, 1, 2, and 3, follow with me. It takes place in a room or special place in one's home dedicated to being still, a silent place. It may or may not involve having a candle to light. That's up to you. I like candles. It's good to have a certain room, a certain place in that room where you do your work, and to do it at the same time. It helps develop that habit and expectation, so that as you're going into your room, already your being is getting ready to have the experience, to do the experience. That's the reason that part makes a lot of sense to folks. Available at the same time each day, morning and possibly evening. It's up to you the time that you might do this, and it says 10 minutes to 30 or 40. Well, 10 minutes, work up at least 15 to 20 minutes, it says. Number 2, one sits on an upright chair, back straight, head erect, feet flat on the floor, and hands on each knee lightly or clasped, cupping the right hand in the left.
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever's comfortable. In other words, you get comfortable and you're in a position where you can relax into that, and you're not in tension holding an arm up or a particular position. Number 3, you'll focus your awareness on your breath, going steadily and deeply in and out through the nose. Now, we've done that. We've done that. You've done that with me for years. Breathe in and breathe out. And it's a very good exercise to use to help you begin to relax and let go. And sometimes we've done it using words. The Father and I
want not to.
are one. Just that part. So that you do it breathing in, the Father and I are one. The Father and I are one. That's a good start, beginning to relax and to let go. Then it says again, the silence slowly begin to repeat within yourself the word Maranatha. Maranatha. It's an Aramaic word, the language widely believed by scholars to have been the tongue spoken by the disciples of Jesus and Jesus himself. Maranatha occurs in the pages of the New Testament, 1 Corinthians 16:22. The original Greek text has Maranatha printed as 2 words, Maranatha. It means either our Lord has come Or more likely, in prayer form, the imperative, O Lord, come. Or more, as in Revelations 22:20, where the author closes his strange book with these words in Greek. He who witnesses to these things says, indeed, I am coming swiftly. Amen. Come, Lord Jesus. That's one way of doing it. There may be interesting stuff, and there is interesting stuff on the second page. And if you want to read that, that's great. This comes from an organization, WCCW, which is an organization that teaches meditation. And it's a group of monks and other people who do teach people how to meditate. And so these suggestions are coming from them. The inner page, left-hand side bottom, is the one I was using this morning. And right before it starts, it says the following are the only rules for Christian meditation. 1, say the mantra over and over again, Maranatha, Maranatha, etc. Slowly, silently. Allotted time, say 20 minutes, or start with 10 minutes. Be comfortable. Number 2, don't make haste. Don't force anything. And we get impatient. We want it to happen now. And don't let anything that happens outside, phones, people, noises from the street, don't let it distract you from what you're doing, because what you're doing is important. And then number 4, as far as you can, allow yourself to go beyond thought, beyond imagination, far past all mental images, in order to rest in the realized presence of the ground of all being. You don't need the visions, of images and things like that. What you want to do is know and feel that silent presence. And silence can be very powerful. One of the terms that you probably don't hear very often is ground of being. And that is when you finally reach that place where you and God are one. And as Martha Judici used to say, at first there's the jumping monkeys, all that stuff going on, and you. And there's still the jumping monkeys and you. And then there's you. And then there's God only. So, I quoted from William Blake, very bottom of the page, William Blake's famous words that goes over to the top of the second part. The doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. For man has closed himself up till he sees all things through narrow chinks of his cavern. It's like the old knothole in the fence watching the baseball game. You see only that much. You can't see that big play because it was too far to the right or to the left. But when it's all clean and clear, then it's all present and you see it all. So the material that's around these two suggested forms of meditation is also good if you care to follow, to look at that and read that. I suggest it's a good idea. Now the other piece. I have one. I could use the one I have. Thank you. In my trying to get it all on one page, the actual title is The God Within. And all you see is the God. Yeah. Yeah. The picture of Tom Harpur, a rather interesting looking guy. And the little bit of biography under that picture, that comes from the, what do you call that, the fly jacket, the jacket?
Oh,
Yeah.
The book jacket. So it's opened over the top of the page, so you got this with the cover page. That's why the within was missing, because it's underneath the jacket. Let's go through this and look at this pretty closely. When you open it up, the left-hand side of the page, somebody read that to us. It comes from Swami Vivekananda, 1896. Somebody want to read it for me?
Oh, I see down there. I couldn't.
Okay. It is the God within, your own self, that is impelling you to seek Him, to realize Him. After long searches here and there, in temples and in churches, on earth and in heaven, at last you come back to your own soul and find that He whom you have been seeking all over the world, for you whom you have been weeping and praying, is the nearest of the near.
Yeah. We'll put that divinity in man. He'll never think to look for it there. And that's exactly, I mean, it's there. And remember, we're created to be able to make this connection to the Christ in us.
And the church does not want us to do that. And they've said if you sit in meditation, you've opened yourself to the realm of the devil.
Satan,
really?
yes. Oh yeah. Stuff
Wanna
like
go out there
that.
and smack them one?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The church, through it, most of its inception, it's an organization, and it's become a business.
Yes, if you think for yourself, you won't have to pay the people to tell you how to think.
Yeah. And it's the largest corporation in the world. You know? And if you're not a member of it, why, you're not a member of any church. As far
I
as they're
think one
concerned.
woman, without realizing it, spoke it truly when she said to me, "We got to pray for them Catholics because they're not Christians." I thought, okay, now we know that to be true, don't we?
It was refreshing in this stuff with
Yeah.
with Tom Harpur. I have fallen in love with that guy. What a wonderful mind. Some of the steps he's had to take. It's like 10 years of searching when he finally started to look deeper into all of this and find that what he'd been taught, even in seminary, wasn't true, wasn't right. And I have another one of his books. It gives me, so what's the hole in the floor? My word. I couldn't make it move.
There are some cropping up around here, yeah. That was the spot. I just missed it by an inch.
This is another one of his books. Pagan Christ. This was when he was first getting the idea of what all was happening. About the book, which is this one called For Christ's Sake.
Oh.
For Christ's Sake. The book, For Christ's Sake, touched off a keen and at times acrimonious debate across Canada within days of its publication in mid-January 1986. It went into a third printing less than 6 weeks later and has now sold more than 30,000 copies, to make it one of the best-selling books on religion in Canada. During the tumultuous weeks following the first appearance, the book was praised by many as a liberating breath of fresh air and criticized by others as an arrogant and flagrant example of heresy.
Yeah.
A vigorous group of fundamentalists on the West Coast, mainly in and around Surrey, British Columbia, waged a strident long-distance telephone campaign to have me dismissed both from the Toronto Star, where I have been a freelance columnist on religion and ethics since 1984, and from the Toronto School of Theology, where I was for 5 years a part-time lecturer on theology and praxis of mass media. Other ministers, for example, the Salvation Army leader in Owen Sound, Ontario, took out advertisements in their local newspaper announcing sermons and lectures denouncing the book and my main thesis that Jesus was not a Christian. You've heard me say that. Jesus was not a Christian. It's true.
How can he be if it was...
Exactly.
It's not...
There was no church called the Christian Church.
And he did not call himself the Christ, and he did not say that he was God.
Exactly. And if he was anything, he was a Jew.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A Jew.
An observant Jew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is hysterical. Where is that?
If they want to get your book sold, start calling it here. Have somebody call it heresy.
Yeah. Announcing sermons and lectures, denouncing the book. So this person was advertising their church, who was going to tell you what was wrong with this book if you came to the service. That was great.
Yeah, great advertising.
Most of the ultra-conservative Christian bookstores refused to carry it or any of my subsequent books. Hell hath no fury like religious people who have been forced to rethink their deepest beliefs or prejudices. The most characteristic reaction from church people and outsiders alike has been, quote, "Thanks for speaking out. It's what I've vaguely felt for years, but could never express properly." Many from all walks of life and from the kaleidoscope of denominational backgrounds, as well as none, have said that they never would have lapsed from their churches if such a view of Jesus' life and teaching had been available to them years ago.
Yeah.
The response from young people, especially those at university, has been most gratifying of all. Except, that is, for the theologian at one of our largest Roman Catholic colleges, who phoned after hearing an interview about For Christ's Sake on CBC's religious radio show, Open House, to say that he was telling all his students, some of them future seminarians, to read it. He said, You have written what most of us would like to be able to say aloud, but cannot for fear of being forbidden to teach at all.
Yep.
The church wouldn't. So some of the ideas, some of the thoughts. The most significant development since 1986 in this regard has been the discovery of the title Son of God in one of the Qumran papers, used in relation to a person other than Jesus. As far as for Christ's sake is concerned, this simply reinforces the argument made there that to be called the Son of God in a Jewish setting in the first century is not by any means the same thing as being identical with God himself. So I just pulled some of those out because it was interesting for me to see some of the pardon me, crap that got thrown at him
Oh, yeah.
for telling the truth.
Yeah.
You know, this too is a good book, but it's the early stages of him telling the whole story. Has such things as Stranger from Galilee, the message, the myth of the virgin birth, no virgin birth. Yep. The humanity of Jesus, the teachings of Jesus, Jesus as prophet, the fourth gospel, the Acts of the Apostles, the miracles of Jesus, the titles of Jesus, the death of Jesus, the resurrection of Jesus. Yeah, so it really, I like that. I now have something like 6 books of his, maybe more.
I'm curious about, it was not a virgin birth. How did they make that happen? I mean, what was the explanation?
I'm trying to think. I'll have to refresh my memory because this is all new to me too. I didn't learn this in school.
Well, and I learned that the virgin birth was not about Jesus, it was about Mary.
It is about Mary.
Her mother's name, Anna, was the virgin who birthed Mary. The virgin birth was not about Jesus. Because if you didn't have a virgin birth to birth the Savior,
Yeah.
then it must be tainted somewhere along the line in there.
One of the things I've said over the years is Mary represents the feminine, which is the feeling nature.
Right.
And you cannot have a head full of negative emotions, negative feelings, negative attitudes, and bring forth the Christ presence within you. It can't happen.
Right.
It must be virginal. In other words, you have to be free of all that negativity and be in truth thinking, in real life thinking, to bring forth that divine presence. They don't go together. They don't mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He puts in here Isaiah is not talking about a virgin, for which there was a perfectly good Hebrew word,
A young woman shall conceive.
Bethula, but also about a young woman who may have already been married.
Yeah. The fundamentalists, when the Revised Standard, let's see, it was the Revised Standard came out, which is the Bible I use,
Yeah, me too.
RSV. It says, a young woman shall conceive.
Yeah,
In the quotation from
Yeah.
Isaiah.
yeah.
And a particular bunch of fundamentalists would not buy that Bible because it was wrong.
Oh, my friend walked into a bookstore, Christian bookstore in Georgia, and asked for that version of the Bible, they said, "Madam, we only sell the King James here." And she said, "God, I thought the Hallelujah chorus was going to come right out of the wall."
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, that reminds me of one of the dandies. Someone said, "Well, I use King James, just like Jesus did."
And one guy said to me, "I know what Jesus said in the Psalms."
Oh, golly.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's kind of amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So if you open this to the first page, inside, I'm going to be skipping places. I've underlined a lot of stuff here. So go down to about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Starting about by Hindus, 7 lines. Just approximately.
Upanishads?
Hmm?
Is that after the Upanishads?
No, right before.
Before it? Okay.
By Hindus, there is the never-changing, omnipresent, omnipotent Brahman. That's what they call the God, if you will. Firstborn and foremost among the gods. From him sprang the universe, and that's in the Upanishads.
Yeah.
Great Spirit or Divine Grandfather, to whom prayer is made in North American Indian spirituality, is discernibly the same reality to whom Christians pray in the name of Jesus, or whom Jews follow according to the Torah, which is believed to have been first revealed to Moses. Indeed, it has been my experience, both from reading and from journalistic travels for several decades now, that the more I study all the major world religions and look beneath their surfaces, the more I'm convinced that they are amazingly similar in their essential beliefs and aims. Did you ever think that?
Mm-hmm. I took, in high school, the teacher assigned religions to everybody, and they were supposed to make a report on it and read it out loud. And I thought, oh,
Yeah. It's amazing because
It
when
is
you really
incredible.
dig, they're so similar that it's no wonder they're all drawing from. It's like there was one source.
yes, which there is.
Yeah. And
And now you've heard that they are making it a law that the Bible has to be taught in all public schools.
no, I didn't hear that.
Oh, man. And I thought, and what makes them think these school teachers know how to teach the Bible?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's true.
But that it's like a law immediately. And so immediately these teachers in the public schools have to start.
Is that a
Teach-
state that's doing that?
No, I thought it was a federal law.
I know that in Louisiana.
Did you
it's-
hear that?
Yeah,
I hadn't
Or
heard
maybe
that.
it's just the southern states, I'm not sure, I'd have to back.
Now you know, in the early years of this country, the Bible was used
to teach.
in all classes
Mm-hmm.
to teach. They taught that they used it to teach reading. It taught ethics. It
As
gave-
long as the teachers know where that stuff is.
Exactly. Yeah.
But do they anymore?
Well,
And then it went the other direction, and you weren't supposed to, like the Pledge of Allegiance, you can't do that no more. Yet it's,
what's her
that's-
name? Madeline. Madeline.
Yeah.
Madeline something O'Hare.
Madeline Murray over
O'Hare.
Right.
She
Yeah.
ruined everything.
Yeah.
She
yeah,
made all the difference.
yes.
Had to take all of that out. And you understand that when they talk about separation of church and state, it's not about no religion. Because in the after the Capitol building was built, they had a chapel in there. They had service every Sunday, and they had different pastors come in from different denominations.
How clever.
Yes. Yes. It wasn't that there was to be no religion, but that it was free. That we were founded as a Christian nation. No question about that. But we were also accepting people as they came, whatever religion that they chose or chose to be. But at the national level, we were Christian.
There is a church on Boulevard that Bud and I discovered, and it's been a long time ago, so I can't remember the details. But it was one church, but 3 denominations shared that church.
Really?
They couldn't afford a whole church, so there was different times of a Sunday that they had the different services. I thought that was so cool, and that it's the Rainbow Church, you know?
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, on Rainbow, yeah. You've heard me talk about E.V. Ingraham.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful man. I'm so grateful that I got to know him. When he had his church in Cincinnati, after he left world headquarters here, went to Cincinnati. In the church where I met him, he was using a Seventh-day Adventist church. They didn't use it on Sunday.
Oh, I see. So,
They used it on Saturday.
A lot of Unity churches did that.
So he used it on Sunday.
very good.
Yeah. So it was at that church at least where it had a twofold service, and yeah, it was.
Yeah, in one Unity church that was meeting in another denomination, they said that's fine, but you can't show your books. So we built this bookcase where all of our Unity books were for our service. Then we shut that up so that they could have theirs.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I want you to let's see where I'm going to go down here. Okay. You have a full paragraph at the very bottom of the page that begins with "but as one struggles." Right above that, 2 lines. The same has been true in examining the attitudes and approaches to prayer of the various religions. They're so similar. It's as if, well, we know. Prayer is built into us. Mm-hmm. We are built to be praying organisms, and apparently it's pretty standard among all people. The question that pops up is in that final paragraph. But as one struggles for a better understanding and practice of prayer, one is brought face to face with another issue as well, one involving a different sort of question. Where is the God whom we seek to address, or with whom we feel such an urgent need to converse? In what direction, so to speak, are we to aim our praying? We saw in our look at that we didn't, because we didn't look at his discussion of the Lord's Prayer. But that phrase in the Lord's Prayer, "Who art in heaven," where's that? Somebody, Myrtle's letters that she wrote to people who had questions or needed help with prayer, some issue in their lives. Some woman wrote to Myrtle and asked where we send our prayers. And Myrtle said, send out our prayers? We don't send our prayers out. You pray
Within.
to the within. Where's Christ?
Yeah.
Where is Christ?
Within.
Right here. Yeah. And I was real happy to hear Tom Harpur say, look to the center of your chest. Charles Fillmore talked about, what's that part called?
Chakra.
Yes. And the particular one is the
The heart chakra.
Chakra.
the heart chakra, and the word I'm trying to think of. Anyway, right here.
The love power, the power of love is what Charles Fillmore, one of our 12 powers.
Solar plexus.
Okay.
Oh,
The solar
okay.
plexus,
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
which is right here with around. It's all around that same area, with the heart's there and the
The lungs are there.
yeah.
And it sends the nutritions out in all directions to the
exactly
body.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was interesting that where Tom Harpur was suggesting you kind of focus, it's just what Charles Fillmore said. And I will tell you that when I first started trying to meditate, I followed his direction. I mean, I did that. I focused there, and it worked for me.
My mother said to me, well, do you mean you pray to yourself? And I said, yes and no.
Yeah. My real self,
Yeah.
my higher self. Yeah.
I had one man in the church who had a problem with meditation because he had the first metal heart valve.
Oh,
And he said, when I become still, I can hear that heart valve going clickety click, kitty click, kitty click. I said, I can't do this. Yeah. But the first heart valve replacement was
I
metal.
remember that. I
Yeah.
remember that sound.
Yeah.
Because I remember when that first one happened. It was kind of too mechanical. Well, how do you deal with that? After I did the cardiac arrest and was in ICU, you know those heart monitors?
Mm-hmm.
They had it on right next to my bed, beeping.
Mm-hmm.
Every beat of my heart. Mm-hmm. And of course, after I had the cardiac arrest, my heart was very irritated. So it would do beep, 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 beep. It would, it was
Jump around a little.
irregular, very irregular. And I'm going, is it going to quit? You know, it was scaring me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very difficult to tune it out. Eventually I found a way to not listen to it, not hear it. But yeah, I wouldn't want to hear that click, click, click every moment. Second last paragraph, and I'm going to read a line and a half above that. When you look deeply at the major world religion, you find two truths held simultaneously. The first is that God does not so much exist as she is existence itself. I was surprised that he used the feminine, but good. In God, to repeat Paul's famous line once more, we live and move and have our very being, for he is not far from any one of us. At the same time, this God, this spiritual essence, dwells within us, every one of us, no matter how much we ignore, deny, or offend against this reality, no matter how we feel, no matter how far we stray from the divine will of our lives, God is an inner reality. Once again, called by many different names. In Taoism, there is the day, or part of the Tao, the overarching way, the final reality, embracing all things and directing the flow of life. The day is within each one of us. In Hinduism, you have the Atman within, the divine higher self, which is part of the universal Atman or Brahman. True awakening comes when you one day realize that God is within you, that in a profound sense, you too are divine. You are that. A lot of teachers use that expression, especially in the East. You are that. What that? That is. It's, how can you define God? How can you describe God? God is. That's probably the safest thing you can say is God is.
Yeah, yeah.
And you are that.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
There's a philosopher who tried to get at that by saying, not that, God is not that, not that, not that, not that, not eliminating all the other thoughts about it. Finally getting to God is, but he started out with not that, not that, not that.
Yeah. Where was that? You are that, as the Hindu rishis and gurus for centuries have put it. In Christianity and Judaism, there's the imago Dei, image of God. Oh, he does translate it, okay. The image of God according to which we humans have been created. Genesis says that our very breath, the subtle link between our spirit, mind, and body, was breathed into our mythical ancestor, Adam, by the Creator. The text is explicit. God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul. Much more is being said in this famous passage than that God gives us the gift of life. The various animals are given that as well. The image of God refers to the gift of self-reflective consciousness, of moral freedom, and of spiritual and creative capacities virtually unlimited. We are the offspring of God, and thus the actual bearers of divine breath or spirit. When I hear these words, and they're words that I'm not used to hearing about ourselves,
He's saying that God refers to the gift of self-reflection. This argument comes up with the AI computers, are they conscious? And the answer is no, they are not, because they do not have self. They do not have reflective self. That cannot be programmed into them.
Yeah.
So essentially, no, they're still machines.
Yep.
But I was even reading an article on Space Odyssey 2000, where it said that finally HAL began to shut down, and in there it says, well, the technician was in there pulling the stuff out to shut HAL down, but it said, and has HAL lost consciousness? And I'm reading that, and I thought, no, there was no consciousness there.
Exactly.
HAL crashed, but HAL did not lose consciousness.
He lost circuits.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So I'm just researching some of that. I thought, oh, this, they don't know what consciousness is.
A little further down, where it says, but that is not all. The psalmist talks. Would you start with the psalmist talks with God's Spirit?
Your turn.
The psalmist talks about God's Spirit dwelling within us. For example, he prays, "Take not thy Holy Spirit from us." The opening lines of John's Gospel put the Christ event in a cosmic setting. The author, instead of giving us, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble
Another
getting-
version.
giving us another version of the high birth narratives of Matthew and Luke, makes it clear that the Logos, or Word of God, the true light, actually gives light to every person who comes into the world, who is born into the human family. The light that lighteth every person who comes into the world is always within us. John 1:9, my translation. It's what we do with it that counts.
Yeah. I can understand how somebody could write to him and say, if I heard this kind of stuff in churches, I'd still be in church, Yeah. Jesus' own teaching in the first three Gospels, the synoptics, about the kingdom or reign of God and the fact that it is within us as well as outside us, is a variation on this same theme. Thus, as Matthew describes, he is able to say to his followers, "You are the light of the world." As George Fox, a Quaker, used to say, "There is that of God within us." Of course, he also used the symbolism of the light within constantly. The inner light is the virtual motto and creed of Quakers. The sacred scriptures of Sikhism say God is concealed in every heart. His light is in every heart. It would take an entire book to discuss fully the Apostle Paul's take. The Spirit of God within us, even praying within us, is one way he works out his mysticism, his belief in our identification and intimacy with the divine presence within. To confirm this for yourself, read his letter to the Romans, chapter 8. In one well-known passage, 1 Corinthians 3:16, he writes, "Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you?" In addition, there is his whole teaching about the Christian believer being in Christ. Or the reverse of this, his many references to Christ in you. We hear it. And that was a wonderful thing when I came to Unity. And I heard it probably for the first time. Mm-hmm. I don't remember that in any other church. As a kid, if I didn't go to the Protestant church, then I would have to go to Mass with my father. But I didn't hear words like that in Mass.
I don't remember it in Science of Mind either.
Yeah.
And I was in Science of Mind for a couple of years, and Science of Mind was not particularly Bible-oriented. Occasionally things were mentioned, but I don't recall that.
That's the only issue I've had with Science of Mind, is it's very mental.
It's principle, which was good. That anchored me in principle, but I had to go to Unity to get the rest of it.
Yeah, it's missing that feeling piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. And seems all intellect and not so much heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not the name of the church. That's the name of the magazine.
Yeah.
It's Religious Science is the church.
Yeah.
Well, it was Science of Mind in 1969 when I went there. And then it transitioned into the next name, and now it's Center for Spiritual Living.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Oh,
Yeah,
That's what they call their churches now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Rocco was very involved in their main church in Los Angeles, where they were training teachers and so on.
Who was?
Rocco Erico.
Rocco? Yeah.
And when I was out there. And
Yeah.
That, and they called it religious science then.
Turn to the last page, last full page. And at the very bottom, the last 2.5 lines. Few things cater more to a lapse of zest and authenticity in praying than persisting in prayers, particularly those of a rigid or liturgical kind, which are directed solely to a remote, austere God of the vast void, out there somewhere far away. The kind of experience that people who are keenly aware they are on a spiritual journey want and need today is an intimacy with the God who is immanent in all creation, and particularly there's again a plethora of ways to describe this truth, but I must confess that this particular path has been a large part of my own spiritual questing, especially in the past 10 years or so. In addition to the other quotes from various sources in this chapter, let me then add 3 more to illustrate my point from a little book called Oneness, Great Principles Shared by All Religions by Jeffrey Moses. Do not search in distant skies for God. He is found in man's own heart. That's from Shintoism. God abides hidden in the hearts of all. That's from Hinduism. Why wilt thou go into the jungles? What do you hope to find there? Even as the scent dwells within the flower, so God within thine own heart ever abides. Seek him with earnestness and find him there. Sikhism. That's some lovely stuff. And I don't know about you, but I think I really needed to be reminded in my education as a Unity minister. I heard things like, Christ in you and Christ is in everyone. It just didn't quite get traction. I didn't quite connect it to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? That it seemed to be out there somewhere, and I didn't know how to find it. And
Lori Beth Jones wrote a book called Jesus CEO.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I want a God that knows my middle name.
Ah.
Yeah, I don't tell anybody my middle name. So I want a God that knows what that is. I think you were right, Sue. It was called Religious Science. The book is Science of Mind, and it was kind of all mixed together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the magazine, they have a monthly magazine.
Yeah.
It's Science of Mind.
Yeah.
I've never heard of Sikhism. What is that?
Sikhs are Indian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the sects in India.
Okay.
Do they wear turbans?
Yeah.
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 Because there's some who wear some sects don't wear turbans and some do, and I think it's the Sikhs that wear turbans.
Okay.
And
There was a huge community of Sikhs in San Jose when I had the church out there. And they were trying to build a huge Sikh temple and so forth southeast of San Jose. And there was a big brouhaha because it was going to draw hundreds of thousands of people, and they didn't think the highways would accommodate that. And true enough, I don't know how that resolved itself, but they do draw thousands and thousands of people.
wow.
Yeah. And I wasn't with it enough to check in further to that. I was busy listening to the gripes of all the people in the San Jose church. Jeez.
I've got a grandson and his family that live in San Jose. They're not religious at all.
Yeah.
I've lovingly said, she's got a family of heathens. And
Family of what?
heathens.
Yeah.
And you raised them in unity.
Yeah, they were born in Unity. Well,
It's
no, they
amazing.
weren't. We went to Unity after they were born, but
Yeah.
Still, nonetheless. they
Anyway,
should've-
I'm not going to keep you late. I just want to give you a
were
little
raised
bit of
in-
homework. Page 43 in this, which is
Okay.
your handout. It's the ultimate Christian symbol, and that starts about the cross, and then spirit into matter, and the irony and the hope. Try to read that, and we'll plow through that.
I don't have page numbers.
Yeah, you do. It's at the top,
Not
very
on the
top.
front. Open it.
What?
Open it. Very top.
Where's it at? Oh, yeah.
First pages don't have. There's no number because these are the page numbers. But
Yeah,
if that's
they're not
the,
on the pages.
there you go, right there.
Oh. And what page did you say?
43.
43.
This is the first one. It's the second one. Do you not have a second one?
This one?
Yes, that one.
It's in .5 font.
What page did
In
you
other words,
say?
you can't see it without a
43.
magnifying glass.
43. It's going to be towards the back.
Mine's in the briefcase.
Towards the back. There you go.
Yeah.
43. From there to the end. Just take a look at that. And then we did one of those exercises on meditation this morning, sort of. And look at these. The two, try both of them. And remember that it's going to take some practice to do it. Nobody does it necessarily right the first time, and it's not a matter of right. It's the fact that we've got to get quiet. We've got to stop all those jumping monkeys.
Jumping monkeys,
You
yes.
you gotta settle down the jumping monkeys. And I remember when I started doing it, I'd try to be still, and boy, there's all this stuff. And the more I tried to be still, the more stuff came up, And eventually, I just discovered that I could quiet it down, and I had to do things like peace, be still, peace.
Or everybody sit down and shut up.
Yeah, talk to yourself like you mean it.
Yeah.
Like the little girl who was so good when asked why she was so good. Well, I tell myself to behave, and then I make myself mine. We tell
that
ourselves,
came from
be
you,
still, but we
Jackie.
don't make ourselves mine. So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
This is totally trivial. But how did you manage to get paper that's not 8.5 by 11? It's 8.5 by 11 by,
and that short piece,
yeah, you've got a bunch of short ones.
because I cut it short.
Oh, you cut it yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it came
I had
in reams.
some 11 by
14?
bigger, 17, 11 by
17.
17. Yeah. So I got two pieces of 8.5 by 11 out of one sheet.
Right.
And
Yeah, and
I don't need that big paper so much, so I thought I might as well use it, because
Yeah.
it was good paper anyway. And somehow, I don't know how, it
That's-
happens.
That's okay. I
You
just,
know, I thought sure I had the cutter set right.
Right.
And I
Like-
thought and then I put the paper in, and the first thing I did it on was a bulletin. and the top quarter inch of the bulletin was gone. And wasn't there. Because it didn't have any paper for that part.
Oh,
Oh, God.
well, it's not a big deal. I thought it came in packages, and I thought,
Yeah.
how did that happen?
Well, it does, yeah. 11 by 17.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Yeah. No, maybe it was,
11 by 17, 9 by 12, and 8 by 10.
yeah. I've had some 12 by 18 too.
Have you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Our copier will take 12 by 18.
If you can find it.
And yeah, and I had a nice
Well.
box of that.
Just having been a clerk for most of my life, things like that are just automatic in my mind. You know.
Do you find this interesting?
Oh yes, definitely.
It turned on a light in me. I just thought, wow, where has this been?
Yeah.
You know, why didn't anybody tell me about this?
Well, because it would mess up the religions that have to
Yeah.
tell you.
The first
Exactly
copyright
how
was
to think.
1986, and that was my first year in Columbia.
Upside down.
And that was your first year here,
86?
86.
Oh, I opened in 82. Candlelighting service of 82.
86 is when I came to Missouri from California.
Oh, looky here.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, God.
All right.
In
Well,
September.
thank you for being here.
Yeah.
It's fun to talk about
Thank you for
this.
doing this.
Uh,
Thank you for being so smart.
I would love to be able to just tell you about it. But since I'm new to it, and he's a very good writer.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't paraphrase all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'd rather
Yeah.
you have the words from the person who's lit my fire.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I told you the first day that I was going to give you at least one copy of some of the other writings about this, like Kuhn. And I'll give you a big dictionary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Words you never heard of. Like nobody has ever heard of. Man was brilliant. He
Yeah, I started
really-
to keep a list of those because I was reading William James.
Oh, okay.
And he uses words that I thought, what is that?
Yeah.
But I loved William James. He's a philosopher, but he would start talking about these things and talking about the way people believed and so forth. And somewhere in the middle of that lecture, he would turn and he would start talking about how ridiculous that stuff was. Okay, guy, you're on the track.
Yeah.
I've had to read this stuff for classes.
I see.
Yeah.
My mother was in what is it that your family was?
What, Christian Science, you mean?
Um,
Oh,
Mary Baker Eddy,
yeah, that's Christian
Christian
Science.
Science.
Christian Science.
Yeah.
But she got tired of it. She said she had to read it with a dictionary in her lap.
Well, and again, it's very intellectual.
Yeah.
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 And then the people that came after Mary Baker Eddy said, you know, if you go to a doctor, you're not Christian Science. So a lot of some of their people died, children died, because their parents refused to take them to a doctor because Christian Science said don't do that. And I thought, well, I think that presence and power of God is within every doctor too. You know, if you don't have to like the personality of your doctor, go find another one.
It is
What's-
funny about things like that. I knew a man that was Jehovah's Witness, and his wife got sickle cell anemia, and he divorced her because she was going to have blood transfusions.
Yep. Not allowed to have a blood transfusion. Yeah.
He'd rather she die.
Yeah, I didn't ask him. I didn't have the.
Well, our legislatures now would rather women would die in a problem childbirth.
Yes. Right. Exactly.
That's a problem with some of the fundamental religions in that there's no room for thought
Yeah, right.
and for proper thought, you know, constructive thought. You just do what they tell you.
There's just no love and caring.
Oh no. Oh no. And that thing of shunning,
Yeah.
I've talked to people who have been shunned and it really affected their lives.
Which religion does that?
Amish, Mennonite,
Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah's Witness.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so your family won't even talk to you. You should walk up to them, they'll just turn their backs on you. That you don't exist.
Yep.
Gosh, now that's such a godlike, loving thing to do.
I know.
Kidding.
It's so Christian, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Christianism is kind of, I guess we should say,
Yeah.
I call it churchiology.
yeah.
Well, part of my family is Youth for Christ and Singspiration.
Okay.
And you can imagine what it was like if there was any kind of a family gathering. I mean,
You were shunned.
yes, we were.
You're going to hell. That's what.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tell my mother that.
Yeah.
You're raising those children to go to hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
We don't need to be told that garbage anymore.
There-
It's never been true, and it's hurt people.
uh-huh.
It really has hurt people.
The thing is, when their mother got sick, guess who took care of her? My mother. They didn't have time. They were too busy doing the stuff in the church.
I see.
Yeah.
Huh. That's very Christian. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
It's just amazing to me that in all these years and all the reading I've done over the years, I didn't bump into this until this year, actually, earlier this year. And man, I have picked up anything that I could. I have enough coon to maybe I need 3.
One book is enough. And
Yeah, I think I need 3 dictionaries.
yeah, yeah. Those books are about, what, 500-600 pages each?
It's just, yeah,
Yeah.
it said that somebody, yeah.
Yeah, I've got one. I've got The Shadow of the Third Century that you first mentioned.
That's like 500 pages.
It's that thick.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
picked it up and nearly broke my arm. Jeez.
I've got the. Again, there's a hole in the floor.
There is a whole, well, you know about it. I
I
stepped
do
in it,
know
I almost
about
fell.
And
You
there's
need
one
to
in
put a
front of the
big-
drinking fountain out here, the sink out here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need to put a big X on the rug where that hole is. I'm afraid I'm gonna go through.
Yeah, I keep reminding Esta to take the other side of the door
Yeah,
because I can feel like going down as you go through there. You know.
yeah,
Maybe there's something under that board that won't let it go any farther. Maybe
I hope so.
a
Beam.
rafter or something under there.
Yeah, there's another floor, a subfloor.
Is there?
I saw it when Chris had it apart.
Okay, okay.
Because there's another place up there
There
that's
is.
the same.
Yep.
This is
big.
coon.
Seems to be the same.
Golly. Ooh,
What you got there, Greg?
Let's see.
upside down.
Great Pan Returns is the first one. Oops.
Not only are they thick, but the print is very tiny.
Christ's 3 Days in Hell.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. The Oil of Gladness.
Have you been downloading and printing them?
Oh, yes. Man's two births. Zodiacal symbolism in the Gospel of Luke. Let there be light on Genesis. Case of the missing Messiah.
Yeah, I've got that book by Rabbi Levine. That there's no Messiah and you're it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's essentially, yeah.
I require that book for my students.
And that's kind of long. I know it's not 500 pages, but it's 46.
Well, I still have all my work to do.
The lost
Well, I
key
guess
to
you
the
best get
scriptures.
busy.
I'll be here till midnight.
Yep. More and more and more coon. And
Yeah.
that's a lot to keep me busy on a rainy night.
That's why I got one of those magnifiers that's a big rectangular one. It has a holder and it has lights in it.
Yes,
Yeah,
the lights make a difference.
they do. And because when I was trying to read William James, the book was about that big. It was 4 columns of tiny, tiny print.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
And they copy over the original books, which means that the old font isn't readable either. You know, we're used to looking at Arial or something like that that's kind of clear. But those old tiny fonts,
That's
I already got some. There were 4 of them here.
okay. So this is a sparrow.
Yes.
All right. That's no.
I was curious and interested that Prince Harry wrote a
Yeah.
book called The Spare.
Uh huh.
And so, yeah.
That's him.
Yeah, it's him, because his brother is first in line for the throne, and if he dies, then Harry would be the spare that
Yep.
would step onto the throne.
So that there is.
Yeah, so I'm looking at, he called it the spare, and I thought, what is that? And then I started reading about it.
See the drop off?
Uh-huh.
Another bad cut.
That's okay, like I said.
Quarter of an
It's
inch.
not that it makes a difference, I just thought, how did that happen? I mean,
What size is this supposed to be? Yeah,
Oh, these are
interesting stuff.
so exciting. Well, I think the one thing I can say is thank the universe that it revealed this stuff to us,
yes,
that we've been open to it, and that we're then receptive to it.
yes, and it's very logical.
Yeah,
I knew, you knew that a lot of religion has been really filled with superstition.
oh yeah.
Superstition and greed and controlling.
Yep.
Control, yeah.
But the greed, I mean, you know, well, you can't get to heaven unless you pay me.
Well, and that's all about fear.
Yeah,
Fear.
right,
Fear is at the
Fear.
root of all of that kind of crap.
That's where the money starts coming in.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
And people who want to control don't want to tell you truth,
No.
because that sets you free.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And yeah, so we don't need them.
Yep.
We don't need that negativity and that business like today, talking about the baptism. It never was about washing away sin.
I was 12, so what did I care?
Exactly. Yeah.
What did I care?
Were you baptized?
No,
You weren't.
no.
Oh.
Well, we're gonna have to sprinkle
Oh.
you or something.
Oh.
Heavens, no, why would I be baptized? I mean,
You were already divine.
yeah, that's right.
Were you baptized?
Yeah, twice.
Twice.
Sprinkled, and then Richard put the rose petals on.
Rose petals. You got the rose petals. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Well, you're the only person I know who got rose petals.
Well, there were several from that church.
Yeah.
Carrie, that was down here for a while,
Mhm.
she got the rose petals.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they took something that was so beautiful. The recognition of another soul who has made the journey to this plane to grow spiritually, to learn and evolve. And the welcome into this world with the rest of us who are doing the same thing. It's a beautiful thing. And it deserves to be a celebration, not something, if baptism is to wash away sin, then you must be awful bad.
You must need a bath
Exactly.
because it's all external.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord. Charles Fillmore said about baptism, he said, water won't do anything but wash your face.
Well, and the people who were baptized and born again, after that said, oh, now I can go out and do whatever I want because I'll be forgiven.
Yep.
Oh, I saw that when as a child with all these other Roman Catholic kids that I played with, and they could go to confession, and then they could do whatever they damn want.
Yeah,
Please.
Yeah, so
I'm
you
forgiven, so I can be a
have some
jerk.
material for the next confession.
Exactly. I didn't understand that.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of Catholicism that I don't understand.
Yeah.
I went to a service out in Utah, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the priest never did turn around and look at us.
He had his back to you the whole time?
Yeah.
Wow.
And there was no lesson, nothing.
No, the
Absolutely
only
nothing.
people, no lesson.
It was just ritual.
They showed up with the baskets for the money, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of, was it Roman Catholic?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. It's whatever Angela joined.
Huh.
And we still haven't figured that out.
Well, since she went to Florida, she left Utah, went to Florida for a while, and now she's in Texas. And she hadn't been to one
Service.
service. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
She hadn't been to the church once.
Angela just missed out on all kinds of teaching.
Common sense.
Common sense,
Yeah.
anything. She just, unfortunately, I don't know what she hangs on to, because she has nothing.
No.
Nothing.
Her mother didn't.
Her mother, when she took her to a church, it was Baptist, and it was
Oh, yeah.
the most profound that you could find.
Southern Convention Baptist
Yeah.
churches.
Yeah.
Rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't do this and you can't do that. And it's all negativity stuff.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
she rebelled totally against that.
Yeah, that doesn't, just doesn't do it for most of us, for many of us.
My closest friend, my closest friend for 60 years. I was very careful she was Southern Baptist. I was very careful to never tell her where I went to church. And finally she pinned me down and asked me, and I said, I'm not telling you. Oh, I could forgive you anything. Tell me.
Okay.
Wrong.
How did that work out? Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, you're going to go to hell. I said, no, I'm not either.
I said, honey, you're the one who's in hell.
That's right.
Honey, in your presence, I am there.
Yeah.
It was, I felt so bad for her. Her life just got more and more miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are people who have passed, and she's one of them, that we, feel like they're really gonna be surprised.
We got no idea what's on the other side if we ain't done it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
we don't.
We
Well,
don't, you
we
know,
don't- we
hear a
don't
lot
believe-
of stuff.
I don't think that it's a judgment.
No.
I don't think I'm waiting for that.
I sat with one woman who was a medium who channeled a particular spirit, and she said, just because they're on the other side doesn't mean they're smarter.
Exactly. Yeah, Charles Fillmore said that.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
an interesting thought.
They're not
That's,
smarter, they're dead.
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know that because I've seen two of my friends after they died. Reverend Rolf Williams,
Mm-hmm.
he had cerebral palsy,
Yep.
and he
I
and I
remember
had
him.
kind of a relationship going. When I moved back to Lee Summit, I said, I want you to come with me. I don't want this relationship to end. And he said, you go back. I need to pray about this. I said, okay. So I moved back here, and the first night in my apartment, I woke up about 3 a.m, and Rolf was standing at the foot of my bed. And he did not have cerebral palsy. And he said, I'm going, but you can't come with me. And then the next morning I woke up and thought,
Yep.
what do you mean I can't go with you? I want you to come with me, you know. And I went over to the Association of Unity Churches, and Al Sears said to me,
Yeah.
did you hear about Rolf? And I said, what about Rolf? He said, he died in his sleep last night. So it's like, whoa. Yeah.
It's funny how things like that happen. I had
Yeah.
a great uncle who was paralyzed from the waist down from an accident when he was a teenager. And I went to his funeral, and I remember closing my eyes, and I saw him leap out of his wheelchair and run. I
Yeah.
mean, it was so vivid.
I ain't staying here. Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, and I had another one. I saw her a year later. She was Christian Science, and she and I talked about this, and she died, and we talked about checking in with each other. I waited for a year, and I finally forgot about it, and I was in a chorus singing the Messiah in this big church. And when I went downstairs to the basement to get my coat, she was standing by my coat, crutches and all.
Oh,
So you know, when it suddenly happens like that, you just don't expect it. You can't deny it. It's like, oh my gosh, Ruth was there.
yes.
My sister wants to meet her husbands again when she dies, and I said, you're going to meet some people you don't want to meet too. If you're going to meet one, you're going to meet them all. There'll be a few people I really don't care to see again.
That's lovely. Lovely. Oh,
Lovely.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got 4th of July in today. That was
Yes, that was lovely.
That was nice.
You did a wonderful job. That was
nice.
incredible.
Yeah.
It really was.
I know that final thing on the
Oh, the
yeah,
Declaration of
Declaration
Independence.
of Independence.
That
It
is
was
powerful.
9 inches, 9
Minutes.
minutes,
Yeah.
and I knew it was long, and I didn't expect that so many people would just stand there and watch.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't want to
I
miss.
thought, we could hear it while you're,
You can't go
doing
really.
the
And
food or
it's the
whatever.
kind of thing you want to stand up for.
Yeah,
Yeah. I had to stand
Yeah.
through it.
that
Yeah.
that affects me.
Yeah.
I guess there's a patriotic streak in me. God, my grandmother was